Hello there, my name's Alicia and I'm from SciTech. And welcome to Tinker and Create. In this video series, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I thought instead of building or making something, we could destroy something. Not really. We are going to be pulling something apart though. Why? Because pulling stuff apart is actually a really good way to figure out how things work. So I was going through my garage at home and I found this. Do you recognize it? I bet your parents do. It's a toy and it's supposed to move its head and sing a song when you walk past, but it doesn't work anymore. It's actually supposed to do this.
Don't worry. Be happy.
And that got me thinking, do you have a toy at home that's broken? Something that doesn't work anymore. Maybe it's sitting in a drawer somewhere, could be a Furby, a Tickle Me Elmo, a remote control car or something like that. Anything that runs on batteries. Have you ever wondered how they work or what they look like inside? Well, it's time for you to go into that drawer and find that broken toy, because in this series, we're going to be having a look inside our toys to see how they work. We might be able to fix it, but it's okay if you don't, because we're still going to learn something and have some fun along the way. To start off with this video, you're going to need paper and something to write with. You'll also need your broken toy. I've got this fish. But before you actually start, we're going to need to make sure that you've got permission, because we're going to be opening our toys up. And if you've got something really expensive, you need to make sure that your adult at home knows that you're going to do this. So make sure that you've asked your parent or person that you live with at home, and as long as they say it's okay, we're good to go. So you've got all the things you need. Great. So the first thing we're going to do is have a little bit of a think about how the toy is supposed to work. What can it do? So I know that my toy is supposed to move. It moves its face, it moves its mouth, it moves its tail as well. It also starts working when I walk past it. I wonder how that works. It also sings a song, so it makes noise. So I want you to get your pen and paper and write down all of those things. So, what is it supposed to do? So it moves, it makes sound, it runs on batteries, and it starts when I walk past. I actually also think that it lights up, but I'm not entirely sure because it's not working right now. So I'm going to put a question mark there. Great. So I've written down all of the things that my toy is supposed to do. Now we're going to have a bit of a prediction to see what we might find when we open it up. If your toy moves, it probably has some kind of motor. So I'm going to write motor on here. There are a couple of different types of motors, which we're going to go through now. If your toy has wheels, it probably has a thing called a DC motor. DC motors spin all the way around, like this. All motors look a little bit different. These are some ones that I have at home. Other kinds of motors don't move the entire way around. They can only go a certain direction, kind of like our arm. Those motors are called servo motors. Servo motors could move something like a windscreen wiper. These are the servo motors I have here, and they look a little bit different as well. See how they don't move the whole way around? That's a servo motor. There's another kind of motor we haven't talked about yet. It's the vibration motor, which is kind of like what might be in a cat toy. So now that we've had a look at motors, let's have a look at some of the other components that might be in our toys. If your toy makes noise, it probably has a thing called a speaker. You're listening to one right now to hear my voice. your toy has lights, it's probably got a thing called an LED in it. An LED stands for light emitting diode. Let me show you. So if I pull my little toy cat's little lit up eye out, this is what it looks like. But there's something else that our toys have that I haven't spoken about yet. Did you notice what happened before when I put my hand in front of this cat? Let's give it a go. What component could that be? Can you see in here there's a thing called a sensor? Sensors allow our toys and our robots to react to things that are happening in the outside world. This one here is called a distance sensor. So when I put my hand at a certain distance in front of it, the cat meows. So I'm gonna write down sensor. There are a whole range of other kinds of sensors as well. Have you ever walked outside and the light has come on? That's also a distance sensor. There are light sensors which can allow our robots and toys to do things when it gets to a certain brightness. There are vibration sensors as well, which allow our toys to feel particular movements and things like that. Maybe in a Tickle Me Elmo, for instance, it may have a touch sensor inside, which allows it to know when it's being tickled, and then it can do other things. So sensors are a really cool part of certain toys. Great, so now we've had a chat about some of the components that might be in our toy. It's time to go back to our sheet here and to match them up with what we think they are. So when I looked at my fish, I said, I know that it moves, so I think that's a motor. So let's have a look at the way that it moves. Does it spin around and around like a wheel? It only goes a certain direction. So I think that that is a servo motor, not a DC motor. So I'm gonna match this up. So if it moves, I think it's got a servo motor. It definitely makes sound, so I think it's gonna have a speaker inside. I'm still not sure if it lights up, so I'm gonna leave that as a question mark. It starts when I walk past. Can you remember what that might be? That's it, a distance sensor. So I'm gonna assume that it has a distance sensor of some sort. That's not all of the components though in our toys. There's a whole range of other things that we'll find inside as well. Generally with components, they are all connected to something called a circuit board. A circuit board's kind of like the brains, and it has all of the information on it that tells the toy what to do. The components, such as the motors, the LEDs, the speakers and the sensors, they're all connected through wires to the circuit board. Our toys also have batteries. The batteries power the circuit board, which then powers things like the motor and the lights. To figure out how that works though, we're going to talk a little bit about a thing called a circuit. In a circuit, we have our battery. A battery has a plus side and a minus side. The battery is usually connected through wires to the thing we want to power. So if I have a light here, the light will have a positive side and a negative side. We need to connect our wires to each node on the light, which makes a nice circle. That's why we call it a circuit, because it has to travel in a loop to work. If there's a break in the circuit, say my wire is broken, or maybe it's not connected properly, the light won't turn on. Just like if my wire isn't connected to the metal part of the battery or the metal part of the light, it won't work either. So the electricity needs to be able to move into the battery, back out the battery again, and through all of the metal connections of the component. Great, now we've had a look at circuits. We've had to think about the components that we might find inside the toy. So now your job is to go and find a toy. Make sure you ask your adult at home if it's okay that you can look inside of it. Once you've done that, write down what you think it's supposed to do, just like I did on the sheet of paper. Have a think about what you might see inside. Are you going to see any sensors? Are you going to see any motors? What kind of motor do you think it might be? Are there batteries? Do you think it might have a circuit board? Have a little bit of a think. Once you've done that, come back because we're about to jump into the next video.